Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Warships with Any Titan, and once again, co-op battles I have started. I'm decided to stick with that. Now you get 8v8 all the time, because we've only got 4 players on our team at this stage. We've got 4 bots as well on the player team, so to speak, as well as all bots on the enemy team. Now, yes, the bots aren't as good, there's no doubt about that. You'll see that quite plainly in the course of this battle. However, I do get to survive the whole battle, and it was actually a more intense experience in many respects, because it's not trivial. It's not just a shooting gallery. It's a real challenge, and you are going to take hits. You're going to take damage, and your ability to inflict damage back, well, is hampered by the lack of experience. So I'm not that effective at dishing out damage. So the fact that the enemies are less effective at dishing out damage makes us kind of even. But it does mean that because I am, should we say, in the game for longer, and I'm up against varied situations, I'm up against ships that are both close up and far away, because against players the game tends to be mostly long range gunnery. Everybody tries to keep their distance, and there's very little close range stuff, unless you have destroyers that come into fairly close ranges, which they sometimes do and can, because they'll pop out behind islands. The only time, generally when you have close range stuff in player v player, in my experience, it's when a couple of people surprise each other around an island or in the vicinity of an island area. The enemy team in co-op battles tends to steam straight towards the player team, and there's just no fecking around. They just come straight at you, and you get a lot of close range gunnery and a lot of practice at close range gunnery, as well as the opportunity for long range gunnery as they close the distance and get detected initially. So my initial opportunity to open the score for myself occurs there when I fire a long range shot at that cruiser and actually manage to land a hit, much to my surprise. Damage the steering as well. Must have just caught the very end of the boat. The tips that I've been picking up on the YouTube videos do help, definitely, and I said I've switched the reticle to a dynamic reticle so that the notches are scaled according to the zoom and distance. So I land the first salvos on that ship, but he's broadside on, so I switched to armor piercing, and the enemy ship slows down and I don't really realise it. So that salvo overshoots, and the next one does as well, because I don't compensate enough for the fact that the enemy ship is slowed to a stop. And now he resumes. He slows to stop only momentarily and then resumes his forward progress. So, and he starts angling towards me, so the effectiveness of the armor piercing is reduced, and he's reducing his profile as well. Now you can see his gunnery is a good bit off, like it's scattered, and I'm not actually taking any hits so far. Whereas I think in similar circumstances with sort of a person, I would be taking a lot more hits. I also seem to catch fire a lot more with real people. Now I'm just wondering too how much of the real people I run into at tier 2 are seal clubbers, and have captains with high degrees of skills and better chances of starting fires and flags and various other things like that. I notice I'm completely out of flags, so I mustn't obviously be earning enough flags in order to keep up with the consumption of the flags that I had mounted. And as the enemy ship there made the close pass across me, I actually wasn't able to keep up with the mouse on his speed of movement. I should probably have zoomed back out, and I'd have had a better chance of keeping up. But we eventually get him, and we haven't suffered too much damage as a result, so I was quite pleased with myself at this point in the game. Then I thought I'd join the fight in front of me, but I got an invite from the fight beside me, so I had to swing the ship around. Kept getting worried about the torpedoes as well. I keep getting torpedo warnings. There's a friendly destroyer somewhere off to my right, and I'm at the extreme end of his torpedo range, and they just arrive at the edge there, so you see 2 of them, and then they stop. But I keep getting the torpedo warnings. Torpedoes in the water in front of me. Now I started off shooting at the cruiser, but then the destroyer comes into view, and I said, right, I better target him because he's going to target me. I don't have a lot of room to maneuver here to avoid torpedoes, and he's closing into me fast. And there's not a lot I can do. I don't seem to be able to hit him at all. I'm shooting away there as fast as I can, and I'm not getting a shot near him, and he's crossing my bow. So I decided to go for the ram. I have the bigger ship and I have a lot of hit points, so I reckon I could afford it. And it took away about half my health. So, but it was probably worth it, because otherwise I'd probably have lost the same amount of health to a torpedo strike fairly quickly. If that destroyer had been allowed to continue on his course, and now I'm engaged with enemy cruiser in another close range gunfight. And again, I'm having trouble keeping track of him once he starts closing into point blank range, and I'm also having trouble. I don't seem to be able to set fires at half the frequency that other people are doing it, so I must check out. Are there things with the captain's build and stuff like that will increase your chances of setting fire, or is there probably again emblems and things to fly that would do the same thing? The battle is pretty even so far, although there are four human players, so we've lost at least one of the human players. Don't know whether the 3 survivors are all human on my team or not. And I'm still engaged with this guy, and we're about even on health. But I think I have the edge on gunnery. Just about, not by a whole lot. But I'm getting a few more hits than he is. I'm not getting a whole lot of hits at the moment because I'm not making very efficient use of my broadside. I'm only getting 1 or 2 guns off at a time. And that's another problem I have to address, is to make sure my ship's profile is such that I'm getting the most with the broadside, that I get as many guns pointing at the enemy as possible when I fire, and then have as low a profile as possible when I'm reloading. But again, I see these games as a very good opportunity for this kind of thing, because obviously I will have I'm not under the same kind of pressure, simply because the enemy ships aren't as good. Therefore I have the time to think about what I'm doing, and if I can get what I'm doing right, so that I'm, say, have a broadside or as maximum number of guns brought to bear for the moment when I'm launching my salvos, then minimize the profile during the reload and stuff like that, that the behaviour becomes instinctive, that I'll be doing it instinctively, but I'm playing up against real players, and I should be more efficient at dishing out damage and avoiding taking damage when it comes to random battles. And I'll probably, but I feel a bit more comfortable, or considerably more comfortable on cruisers, probably push it up into the higher tiers with co-op battles. And then we see how we go. We switch over to random battles, maybe drop a tier or 2. So, and switch over to random battles and see how I get on. I'm not sure what tier is the most effective one to play in terms of player population, you know, which one do I get into random battles in reasonably quick times without waiting forever and ever, or having really small numbers on each side of the matchmaking, because I find that really annoying. I think those games are just not much fun at all, where you have like 4 versus 4 or 2 versus 2. Now there's 2 ships remaining. I don't have a lot of health left, and I thought that if I stopped firing for a while I might get out of view range of this guy, but I don't seem to be able to do so. He's continuing to fire at me, he's capping as well. And I suppose we have to prevent him from capping also, because if he caps out, we lose. So every defense point that I pick up is actually valuable for the team, because we are also capping the enemy base. The other player has decided to go for a cap. It's reasonable enough. If I can keep this guy occupied and he gets ahead on the capping, then this guy, even if I lose, this guy's got to come out of the cap circle and go over to the other, his own cap circle, mount a defense, because he won't cap on time, and we'll win the game. So it's a very good strategy on the part of the destroyer. It is the game winning, it's just the safe game winning strategy. Whereas coming over here and joining the fight is actually potentially risky. He could potentially get sunk, and we might both get sunk, and therefore we would lose the game. It's generally better to be on the winning side than on the losing side. I prefer it anyway. This guy's on low health, and I think my secondary gun battery's got one. So, we managed to do alright in that one. I think it's possibly the most damage I've done so far, certainly at tier 2. We came number 1 by experience and sank 4 enemy ships. I shouldn't dwell too much over the analysis. The only thing I could say about it is that I managed to get a decent amount of the shots out, landing on the enemy ships rather than my usual 20% or so that or 30% or so that I managed. I got 79 out of 95 shots fired landing on target, which is well, it's not my normal. It's actually, I think, some of my best shooting so far in this game. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it interesting. If you did, please give it a like. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.